Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day. Welcome to Car Stereo Talk. How's everybody doing today? Hey, it's like stereo or slight delay. You do some time alignment on that one. There we go. Oh, shake it up. All right. Puerto Rico in the house. What's up from Tennessee? Bill, Mr. Freeman.
What's up,
High five,
David?
Vega. Yo, yo, yo. How is everyone doing? Check in. Let us know. How is it? Oh, hello. 45 in Denver.
Oh, wow.
Nice delay. Oh, well. Yeah, I know. Good
Bill.
evening, 12 Volt Car Audio Gurus. Hey, what's up, Steven?
Australia.
Hello from North Georgia. Augusta. Good dreams. That would require sleep. I'm not gonna lie. I could use some of that. What's up from Minnesota? So how was your weekend?
That was good?
Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Nothing.
Played all day?
Yeah, I'd say.
Played all day? I mean, I technically played all day, but it really wasn't. I had to put the living room back together after having that all repaired, so that was a lot of fun. But it gave me the opportunity to, what's up from Nashville? Sunny and 70. Ocala here. It gave me the opportunity to finally put the audio control receiver in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that took all day. That was a lot of fun.
What's
And
up,
then
Mel?
Probably take it back out and put all new wiring in. I think I gotta order some different HDMIs. All mine were 6-footers, and I really only need 3-footers. So,
Makes sense.
but fortunately, I have so many Stinger RCAs left over from the years and years of doing this that are all really high end. So I didn't need new RCAs.
Oh, that's
Scott, what's up? AC for the win. Oh,
Rubber ring
yeah.
hoy.
Minnesota.
What's up, David?
Afternoon. Why don't you guys do beauty panels? Because we don't do wood. And we don't do glue. So, and we don't have time. That's really what it comes down to. I know.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it doesn't. Because I just don't want to do it. Kimber Cable or nothing. No, it's funny. I ran into a guy today. I guess New Concepts is doing a Kimber Cable kind of ripoff kind of thing, and it brought back memories of when I was driving around the Alpine Dodge Ram. Kimber Cable was the wire sponsor for them at the time, and they had made them a Kimber Cable 0-gauge power wire. And for those of you who don't know what Kimber Cable is, do a quick Google search on it and you'll see it's like the cheesiest looking RCAs ever, where it's just like 3 wires twisted like it's like a girl would make a bracelet with 2 RCAs on the end. But this power wire that they made, they wove, it must have been the most expensive 0-gauge on the face of the earth, because it was standard 0-gauge size, but it was all woven together and looked freaking gorgeous. But yeah, it was interesting. Louisville.
What's up,
put a
Pablo?
D6 1200 in today. Very nice. I'm coming to Tampa in the first time in 3 weeks, heading to WrestleMania.
Awesome.
Brother. What's up from Delaware?
Yeah.
All right, so with that in mind, as always, let's head over to the laptop. 12 Volt Clean Wire Club is a place you can go and show off your just clean wiring and how special and just, the time and care that you put into your installation. It's a great place to go and show that. Every week, Fernando scours the page and comes up with what he feels is noteworthy on the top of the page. And today we have this one here. Who's this from?
His name is Sean.
Okay.
Sean did that.
Sean did a really nice job.
But he upgraded the whole thing. So if you go into the pictures of his post, big 3 in the front.
Okay.
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
So this was
Very nice.
I mean, he put a seat riser kit in, so it's probably got some huge bass up underneath it.
Yeah.
So we have 2 404s and a 750.1 with a DM810 for DSP. It's a nice combination.
Yeah.
It's a lot of power for that size.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings us to tonight, because tonight we're going to show you a lot of power in a really small size too, at our new segment at 40 minutes on the hour or 40 minutes into the show.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 stops. We do 20 minutes and 40 minutes. At 20 minutes we stop and we do definitions, or whatever you want to call it, where we take a term, we dig deep into it. Today is going to be the basic crossover.
What's up, Oscar?
So we're going to dig deep into that one, and then at 40 minutes we're going to show you very small, big ass power. So that ought to be interesting. But with that,
yeah,
we've seen the best. Oh yeah, the best seat risers on reverse polarity. Oh, that was right. That was one of the shots that we were talking about on that. The guy had 3 2x4s.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and
with
then
the car seat.
The car seat on
Dude,
top of it.
When I went outside and see it, I was like, that's totally safe.
That's totally safe. I
Like-
mean, you don't love your kid at all. Plus all the wiring.
That's something that we do in Mexico, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, you'll make more.
Legal.
No, the D5 1300 is still on slot. It's still on track to be available within, I believe, the next 2 weeks. That's what I heard last time. But, you know, it could change. It could change any day. But right now we're on course to be out in 2 weeks ish. So we'll go with that. Hey, from Trinidad. Buffalo. Thanks for the tip. Made my car AV plug for speakers on the non-Bose in the 2009 Yukon. Next, waiting for the Audio Control D6 1200 amp.
Awesome.
There you go. Hola, amigos. Oh yeah, sorry, you got that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good times. Good times as always. Well, we came off of a really long week last week, and this week hopefully will be much more reasonable. Yeah.
Did you hear anything about the
Yeah, we just talked about that. We've seen the best seat rises. Oh yeah, why did I keep reading that? Oh my god, Jesus.
I've been tired.
For those of you that are interested in seat risers, like doing big boxes, MTI Acoustics does sell those, so you can pick them up there. I mean, I'm sure there's other places that sell them, but the MTIacoustics.com, they've been sponsors of the show before in the past. They do offer some.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Good times. Yeah. Good times had by all. Let's dig into the questions. So if you got questions, now's the time. Will Audio Frog come out with a DSP? I mean, Andy has been talking about it for years. If you go back and you watch...
California?
No. Indy, he had amplifiers. So he was actually walking around with an amplifier in his pocket. And he took it out, and then COVID happened, and it just really kind of squashed that whole thing. Talking to him, he's like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense right now to deal with that because of the back and forth that he was going to have to do on it. But right now, coming out with a DSP at this point in time, and probably for the next year and a half, coming out with some form of new product like that, probably wouldn't be the best move, only because finding chips for the DSP are going to be very difficult for the foreseeable future. When AKM's chip manufacturing facility caught on fire, that made everyone shift. And so all the other companies that were making DSP chips are, running out as well. So it's going to be tough. That's definitely for sure. And someone always makes that comment, they should bring it in the U.S. They should. I wholeheartedly agree. But that's not going to solve the problem because we don't have the infrastructure to do that at the moment. So until someone decides to do that, it's just not going to happen. So it's not like there's a quick, simple solution for this, other than they just have to ramp up and make more.
All right. Can you put feed on the Rockford P308?
Yeah. And downfire
I want to downfire it.
Yes, you can. No problem there. Give it about a good 1.5 inches would be recommended, I would say. Yeah, about a good 1.5 inches. You heard me the first time. Hey, fellas. Just curious, what audio-controlled AVR did you get? I believe it's the 4. So I think they make a 4, 6, and a 9, and it's the 4. So I just needed, I just run 5.1. I'm not crazy. I have a center, a left, and right, 2 subs, and 2 rear in the ceiling. I don't have a living room that is like, I don't want a bunch of speakers all over my living room. I have a bunch of artwork up instead, and I don't get to watch a ton of TV. I just really absolutely hated the Pioneer I had with a passion. Could not stand it. I ran Pioneer for years and years and years in my house, and I loved it. Then I had to get rid of it because it didn't have HDMI. I got the newer one and absolutely hated it. It was just garbage. and so it's time for something new. And
XR4.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, it is nice. I haven't had time to do anything other than plug it in and get it to turn on. So hopefully this weekend I'll have some time to play with it and make it more fun. But Fernando, I believe this is your question.
All right. So for a subwoofer W7, what amplifier is better, JL-VXI 1000 or the JL Audio 1200 WHD?
I would think the HD.
You think the HD?
I don't think you need the VXI to do that. I think the HD 12. I would rather have more power than what the VXI has to offer.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I never look into the specifications of the X.
I would go for the bigger power. That's just my thought. I mean,
so the HD is more power?
Yeah, it's 1200 watts.
Okay. So
plus, it's probably more reasonable too. About to pull the trigger and try a DSP done a little time alignment with the Kenwood head unit in EQ. Trying to wrap my head around tuning. I know you recommend DSP before, but what do you feel is a good entry one for a novice? Have focal integration components, front coaxials, doors. Okay, so you can basically got some. There's a couple of them. The DM608 is very popular. Ground Zero has their mini DSP, or the DSP 4 to 8. Is it? What's it called? I'm sorry. I don't have the box around me. But Ground Zero has theirs. It's extremely reasonably priced. You have the Rockford DSR1, if you can find that right now. You have the Tweak 88, which is also falls in that semi-reasonably priced price point. You have the Helix DSP Mini. So there's a bunch of them. So just rewind and play back and you'll be all set.
Can I use 2 sets of component speakers for the front and rear doors? Question mark.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the only reason why we don't really do components in the rear is, for one, I would rather spend more money on the front set of components and less money on the rear speaker. So if I have $1,400 to spend on a set of speakers for both front and rear, I don't necessarily want to spend $700 for the front, $700 for the rear. I would rather spend like $900 for the front and maybe $300 for the rear, because the front speaker, I could go up a whole nother series. I could get into, that's like going from Access to Flax, or Flax to almost K2. Or hybrid, going from Virtus to hybrid. Going from like Centos to Millis. So to me, the front stage makes the most sense. But you could also buy a more inexpensive set of coaxials for the rear. Components for the rear. The other problem too is that I really don't want my tweeter mounted up really high and close to my head, because the tweeter in the rear door is typically closer to your head than the one up in the dash, and you don't want that one distracting you. So that's my thought. Now, if you're just going for straight up loud, doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want.
Hey, Eric. Hope
oh my gosh, it's Eric Russell.
Yes,
from
hope
Rockford.
Everything is good for you, man. Happy to see you.
Oh, that sucks, man. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully everything straightens itself out.
Yeah.
With the Morello Maximo 3-way, drop right into a 2020 Tundra JBL, or no, it'll drop right in. Maximos will drop right in. It has a small enough mid-range. It'll go right in, no problem.
Do you ever upgrade the like a camper, truck camper? Like just put system on there?
Not in a really long time.
But you did it.
A long time, not many, but yes.
What you did?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, so
I mean that was probably 20 years ago.
So it's not dumb.
No.
He's dumb.
No, God, no. I mean,
you can do whatever you want.
So, for example, Sue's parents have a camper, all right, and one of the speakers on the outside speakers was crappy.
Okay.
And it sounded really weird. So he's like, can we take a look at it? And I go, yeah, sure. So I pull it off. It is the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen. I was like, oh my God, for what you pay for this, they give you this hunk of shit? And then I had to pull one of them down out of the ceiling. This is a brand new trailer. I had to pull one down out of the ceiling. And, oh, dude, like a Pioneer TSA looks like a K2 to this thing.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad these things are. So, yes, I would totally upgrade that you know, and make it better, because why not, right? I mean, Jesus.
For a 2001 Chevrolet Silverado 4x6s, what would be you take?
4x6s?
Yeah.
I'd probably go with either. So Rockford has the T1 4x6s.
I like the Rockford one because they loud.
Or I would just find a really nice 4-inch and make a bracket.
Okay.
You know, to me, because 4x, like a high-end 4-inch 4x6 really doesn't make sense.
So if you have the ability to make the bracket, go with the 4.
I might go with a 4-inch just because.
If you haven't, just go with the Rockford T, the Rockfords.
Sorry to hear you had to fix your mother-in-law's car, but you're doing God's work, so go with God.
What about Mini Pro coaxials for front stay instead of separates?
Well, okay, so the reason why you're doing separates is so you can get the sound stage up. I mean, if you put those high in the door, yeah, you'll have but down low in the door, no, it's just gonna be sound low in the door. It's not that you can't do them. It's just if you're trying to do like imaging up high on the dash, a tweeter mounted down low is not going to give that to you. So they're great sounding speakers, and if you're just looking for a really nice coaxial to go into where a coaxial is and put some sound to it and make it loud, it will do that. But it's not going to image down low in the door like that. You're not going to be able to draw that soundstage up high enough. It's just not going to do it.
All right. Freddie has a 2019 Dodge Ram. I want 210s for bass and replace the speakers right out. What are your requirements?
What are my requirements?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What would I recommend?
What do you recommend? What do you think?
I mean, you could do a full Kenwood system in there if you wanted. I mean, everything on that just screams Kenwood. You can do Kenwood shallow mount, the Exelons. You can do the Exelon 6x9 two-way set up front, a set of the 6x9. Just buy 2 sets, put the mid-bass in the rear, throw the other one, you know, in the drawer, save it for another car. You do Kenwood amplifiers, you do Kenwood shallow mount subs. I mean, you do a full Kenwood system in there easily.
I don't know if you.
I don't know what the budget is.
Box make
they just make
a box for 210s. I would put the bigger subwoofers in there just for more bass. What's
up from Cali? Yeah, I mean, you could do, but I mean, it just depends on the price.
Right.
Probably catch you live. Putting a DSR-1 in my 2016 Mustang with premium sound. Can I maintain the front center speaker with just a 4-channel amp? By the way, installing Focal Evo 3 components. Yeah, okay. No. No, you can't. You can't get 5 channels of audio out of a 4-channel amplifier. So, no. You won't need the center channel, though. You won't need it. If you time align it properly, you'll be fine. You won't need it. It won't be doing anything for you.
Do you answer this one, Larry? Do you need 1 or 2 key locks for the kicker key 204, and is even needed for 2016 Highlander non-JBL system?
Yes, it's totally needed for the Highlander, because the Highlander is... Okay, so here's the deal. If you're 100% worried about, like, oh my god, it's got an all-pass filter, it's going to suck, like if you caught Instagram today, there are things you can do with the key lock to get it to image properly, or at least better than it would without having, the amp. All right. If it's just a base model and you're looking to use it as a front stage, which is what I would do with the kicker key, I would just do front stage. Put some blue tape between the 2 headrests, mount the microphone in the center of the car. Run your setup that way. When you're done, do the setup with the time alignment on. When you're done, turn the time alignment off, leave the EQ on, and see how it sounds. It should sound fine. It should still image, because the all-pass filter is going to stay and bring the soundstage up. It will sound good. We've done it. It's nice. However, if you want it to be like the best of the best, thank you, then you'll need one for up front. And if you're going to do rear, you'll need one for the rear. However, I wouldn't worry about it. The front stage is all that matters. That's it. Just leave it at that. And with that, that brings us to 20 minutes on the hour. We're going to learn some stuff right now, as if we haven't already. Let's move over here to the laptop where we like to keep it. The basics of crossovers. Oh my gosh, right? How much fun is this going to be? A crossover is not a stopping point. It is a level reduction at a certain frequency point. Now this is important to think about here for a minute, because a lot of people, when you say crossover and you say I'm going to cross over 80 hertz, they automatically think that it stops. It's a wall. Nothing is going to happen. You can't go past that. That is the furthest from the truth. And that's why we're doing this, because that question comes up a lot, and we want to make you wrap your head around this. So let's all sit back and relax and enjoy the basic sound graph. This sound graph is showing us on the left-hand side, we see 0, 6, 12, 18, and 24 dB. That is a negative, so that is your dB level. And across the bottom, we have our frequencies. And this is an octave frequency chart, which we'll explain in a minute. Okay, keep going here. A high-pass filter reduces the level of low frequency. So what we're trying to do here is that we know that this smaller speaker can't reproduce big bass. So we need to reduce that, but we don't need it to not produce bass. We just need it to not reproduce bass at the intensity of a subwoofer. So a crossover is designed to do that. So in this case, this is purely hypothetical. You'd never cross it over at 500 hertz. But we have a crossover at 500 hertz, and then it will slowly slope down and reduce the volume as we go. Just work with me here for a minute. Low pass filter reduces the level of reduces the level of high frequency. So it does the opposite thing. So a low pass filter is going to reduce the amount of high frequency coming to that. So for example, we don't need our subwoofer to reproduce and burn and create all that heat trying to reproduce a high frequency. Not necessarily a tweeter frequency, because it would never do that, because there are such things as natural roll-off points, meaning the speaker can only produce sound up to a certain point, and then it's just going to gradually stop doing that. It's a natural crossover, and there are certain manufacturers that actually will use these natural crossover points when designing their speakers in order to get, one, make the crossover smaller, and two, save money. So prime example of that would have been Kenwood's did that with their HD speakers, the gold ones that looked gorgeous and whatnot. They just designed the speakers to use natural crossover points and reduce the amount of passive caps and coils they had to put into it so that the speaker could be more efficient. You wouldn't need a ton of power. A bandpass filter reduces the level of both low and high frequencies. You would use this when you're doing a mid-range, but believe it or not, every speaker has a bandpass crossover on it. Some of them are done through caps and coils, and some of them are done through that natural roll-off. For example, a tweeter, you would put a high-pass crossover on it to roll it off at, let's say, 3200 hertz. It's not going to play up to infinity. It's eventually going to roll off and stop playing sound. That would be a bandpass. The subwoofer is going to do the same thing. However, most of the time on a subwoofer, you use a thing called a subsonic filter. That's just a really cool way of saying high-pass filter for your subwoofer, because that's what it is. It looks just like that. And then, of course, the most popular, the one that we can see and wrap our heads around, are the bandpass crossover. Now, a crossover has a slope. That is that angle down, and it's usually done in dBs per octave. So we have a 6, 12, 18, and 24 dB per octave in most head units. And as we said on the bottom, the frequency chart, those are octaves. What is an octave? An octave is a doubling or halving of a center frequency. So for example, 31.25 times 2 is 62.5. Times 2 is 125. Times 2 is 250, 500, 1,000. So you're doubling it every time you go up. And it works the opposite, of course. You have 5,000. You have 4,000. It would be 2,000. Now these aren't static, meaning if you have 121, an octave up from that would be 242. It can shift. This is just static like this, just purely for this example. But this is how it works. Now, this is where the magic comes in. Crossover set to 125 hertz. Your slope, as we just said, is the down point. So the first blue line there is a 6 dB per octave slope. And an octave, as we said, is that 62.5 to 125. That width between those two is an octave. So we're going to take our center point there, which is 125, and we're going to go down 6 dBs between 125 and 62.5. So what does that mean for the sound? That means that when we're at 62.5, we've reduced the volume by -6 dBs, and that's all we've done. We haven't eliminated 62.5 hertz. We've just reduced that signal playback by 6 dB. So it will still play that. It's just not going to be as loud, which is good, because if you have a small driver, you want it to play those frequencies. You just don't need it to play it with the intensity of full volume. Now, if we cross it over at 12 dB, which is by far the most popular, most amplifiers are 12 dB, most passive crossovers are 12 dB. So the purple line, we start at 125 and we come down to 62.5, and that is our 12 dB slope. So we're still going to be playing all those frequencies, it's just going to be a little less loud. So at 62.5, we're -12 dBs of volume. So that's a lot, but it's not in the sense that it's still going to play that frequency. It just doesn't need to play it as intently. 18 dB takes it down a little bit more, and then 24 dB is going to be your pretty much wall. You're going to be getting no 62.5. Now, the advantages of using it are pretty nice. Let's say you have a driver that doesn't have a deep cone. It's not going to play really deep bass. Well, we want to get as much sound out of it as we can. All right, so those skinny speakers, we want them to play bass or get as much mid bass as we can, but then we need it to stop because we don't want it to play anything else. 24 dB is very handy for that. As you can see, there's no sound at 62.5. Now, if we were to shift this scale over and cross it over at 80 at 24 dB, that's going to drop that thing. You can even, some of these will go all the way up to 48 dB. So as you can see, you can move that point, that center point over, and just have it wall off and reduce it. It'll still play some, but it's just not going to be as intense. Sorry. Let's see, is that the last slide? And that is the last slide in that. You excited?
Yes.
All right, so for those of you guys, we're not going to get in. We didn't want to. This was the basics. So this is just helping you understand what this looks like, because most of you guys automatically assume when you pick that frequency point, there's no sound playing after that, and your other speakers have to pick up at that point. So it's like if I have a high pass of 80, I need a low pass of 80. That's not necessarily true. You could have a low pass of 60. You're still going to hear those signals, or you might have a low pass of 80 and a high pass of 125, which is what we have here. As you can see, that sound is still there, and it'd be the opposite. So that 12 dB slope, you're still going to be hearing those frequencies between those two crossover points. They're still going to be there. They don't disappear. So take a sigh of relief. It's a wonderful day. Have you ever had to use a crossover that isn't Linkwitz, Riley, or Butterworth? There are some other ones like Bessel, but I haven't really dug deep into those. Really, what those, we're going to actually use that as a topic one day too, the Butterworth and Linkwitz, Riley, so that we can explain those. So that'll be a topic for another day, but it has to do the transition at the slope there. So we wanted to keep it as simple as we could today, just so everyone kind of understands how that works. I respect that would indicate ideal crossover points, or will it just come down to playing with it when playing pink noise and looking at your peaks? Nah, that's about it. FS. Yeah, looking at it with your peaks and going into it and adjusting it.
All right.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. I'm doing a blind light component up front in a 2020 Honda Civic. hatchback with a Blam-like coaxials in the rear and a Blam 10-inch in the hatch. Running everything off the ARC Audio PSI 50. Any suggestions on what type of tax to run for a 10-inch sub?
What type of what?
Tax.
Tax?
TAX. Oh, box.
Box.
Think. What
it's
type of box, right? What type of box to run for a 10-inch sub? I'm thinking sealed down fire.
Okay. I mean, sealed down fire is definitely a alternative. I mean, if we want it loud and boomy, you go ported. But, I mean, it's becoming down firing in the trunk or down fire underneath the back seat is becoming more and more common just because people really are starting to like their trunk space back. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. The Kicker Comp RT preloaded box is kind of nice. There's also, there's a ton of other shallow mount woofers that'll work, and I don't see any reason why not to do that. Like I said, just try to have a good 1.5 inch gap there so that you get plenty of air movement. Do you cross them at what the speaker specs recommend? I mean, that's a good place to start. One of the comments here was if you know the FS for the tweeter, you know, you can double that, and that will get you a good point. Sometimes, depending on the type of person you are, sometimes triple that, sometimes quadruple that to get a crossover point that isn't going to blow your tweeter. But most manufacturers don't get real deep into discussing, you know, a good crossover point. Some of them you can call up, like Audison. We've talked to Lance a bunch of times, like, hey, I have this guy. What do you recommend? Or I'm looking at this number, is this real? So, you know, Morel does post what you should cross your speakers over at in their catalog, which is kind of cool. So, but yes, if they recommend it, it's their speaker. My guess is their engineers have done some research. You should probably do it.
All right. Racing soundstage on my 1997 Wrangler. I decided to go with the JBL Stadium GTO 20Ms.
Cool.
Mounted on the dash facing up. They require 500 Hz to 7K bandpass. I can do 500 Hz high pass at the amp, but that's it. Is this okay? Or where can I create a bandpass filter? It comes with one, but I can use it.
So he can't use the passive crosser that it comes with?
Yeah. I can. Well, it says I can use it. Or I don't know if he's just... I cannot use it.
Well, I mean, if the amplifier only goes to 500 Hertz, you clearly can't use that amplifier for a high-pass filter. It's not going to be enough. Didn't we just talk about that last week? We just covered that topic last week. Go back and watch last week's show at the 20-minute mark. We talked all about that. But, okay, you either have to have an amplifier that can do it, or you have to use the passive crossovers that come with it. The passive crossover is designed to give you a high pass for the tweeter and a low pass for the mid-range, and then you provide the high pass for the mid-range. But that's really it. I got nothing else. Yes, so at some point we are going to break these segments out and put them up on Dean and Fernando's Car Stereo Clips. It got really crazy busy, so we haven't had a chance to do that yet. Have you ever run the Scar Shallow Mount Sub? Yes, we have. The only problem I have with the Scar Shallow Mount Sub, which I've had with other shallow mount woofers, is one, it doesn't come with a grill. Two, it's about this deep, meaning you need to have a good 2.5 inches on the front side of it in order for it to mount, which in my mind is not technically a shallow mount driver. If you're mounting it behind the seat of something and you have 2.5 inches, great. If you're down firing it, doesn't work. The company like Rockford makes the T1 shallows, but they provide you with a grill on theirs because they realize that it is going to move a lot of air and they don't want to damage the woofer. Scar hasn't figured out how to do that yet. So, you know, when I think shallow mount woofer, I think something that I can mount shallow facing down. Their woofer won't allow me to do that.
Is the Kicker KS 2.5 good pairing for the KS 6.5 components?
Yes.
Or is the sensitivity too low?
No, it's perfect for that. You don't need it to. Oh God, it's a 2.5. It'll be plenty loud. You don't need it to have high sensitivity. Especially if you don't have any way to control it. If you're not doing a 3-way active set and you have no way to control that mid range, then that's going to pretty much blind you. So yeah, no, you're good. They're made to work together as a set. They just don't package it that way because apparently they didn't think that one through.
Going to run a JL Audio VXI 1005i with the focal flags and an active configuration. What subs will we pair good for sound quality? I have a 600 watts for the sub or subs, either one, and $500 for budget.
Well, $500 for budget, I mean, that would probably still put you in a focal flax subwoofer. I mean, you could probably buy it in the box already ready to go, but the focal flax woofer, I mean, if you haven't looked at that, is just freaking awesome. I mean, I don't know if it's in the budget or not, but I don't remember what they cost, but dude, I mean, if you want a sound quality subwoofer that just beats it all day long, check out the flax woofer. I mean, obviously, you could probably get into like a Rockford P3 in a factory box, which would be fat and boomy, but if you're going flax and you got it in the budget, pick up their woofer. It's definitely maybe a 10. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Alpine Type S door speakers for Ford F-150. Are they a good choice? No. Find something else. Go up to the R's. R's would be a great choice for, maybe $100 more. Get the R's. You'll be way, way happier. And I mean that with you'll be way happier. You could also check into the Focal Integration. Focal makes the Integration series, which is also a very nice speaker and, reasonably priced. That would go in there and work really well.
Do you run wires at the same? Okay. Do you run RCA wires on the same? Yeah.
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay.
Read it.
Do you run RCA wires on the same side of the car as the power wire? When I was a kid, I was told never to do that because of the alternator noise. Are the cables shielded better now? I haven't really been in car stereo for a while, so
it's funny. If any of you guys caught last week's Tuesday Kickers en Masse, Kip had me on, and this was a topic we talked about because when you have an RTA, it really gives you the ability to do a lot of things. One of the RTAs we have has tremendous range. We can take it down to microscopic level and we can see the noise that is passing through the vehicle. The topic is this. Old school, mount an amp, run RCA down passenger side, run power wire down driver side, or whatever side the battery's on. And you did that because there was very little electronics in the car. And the amplifiers had no shielding whatsoever. It was nothing. There was nothing in the car, nothing in the amp to protect it from any form of noise that the car was going to generate. These were basic things. As time has gone on and amplifiers evolved, it was always funny because the Japanese amplifiers at the time, like Alpine, Pioneer, and stuff like that, they were building in noise filters into their amplifiers. Star topology was something that Alpine made where it was like they grounded the internals of the amplifier to multiple points to eliminate noise. So, as time went on, the RCAs have not gotten much better, and the cars have gotten a lot worse. In a modern car, if you pull back your floor sill, you'll see there's about 100 wires on the driver's side and about 100 wires on the passenger side. So, reality is, regardless of the amplifier, when you run a power wire on this side, there's going to be another 100 power wires, though small, ran down the passenger side. So it's really not going to matter. What has gotten better is the amplifiers themselves. The better the amplifier you buy, the more research development into shielding itself against all the crazy noise that's generated in the car it will have done. So if you buy like a $159 amplifier, that's pretty much old school 1980, 1990 type technology. Yeah, you could try running RCAs down this side and power wire down that side and hope that you don't get any noise. You may, because there's nothing in the amp that's like protecting it or trying to fix that.
Yeah.
But you buy a better amplifier. I don't care if you take the RCA and twist it around the power wire like this and run it down the same side of the car. The likelihood of you getting noise is pretty freaking thin. So it really just comes down to spending more money and getting a better product.
Equipment, yeah.
tuning my Audio Frog GS25s and we're over to this weekend. Awesome.
I have a 2012 Chrysler 200. Do I need to modify or cut the dash to fit all of the wiring for the head unit?
Yeah, I'm just going to say yes. You're going to need to cut it just to get the double din in there. That's really more of the headache than anything. It's just you have to cut it. You have to trim it out just to get the double din to go in because of the back of the radio. As far as for the wiring, no, you're pretty good there. Actually just did one Saturday. Was Friday or Saturday we did one?
Yeah, I think
it must have been Friday. I think it was Friday. Yeah, the only trimming you have to do is just so the radio fits in. And it's not that much. It's actually like real basic work on a 200. So,
what will you do for under the rear seat solution for bass in a 2020 Nissan Frontier crew cab? I do not want to lose the use of the rear seat.
I mean, it's what it is. I mean, if there's room for a box, my guess is going to be a 10 or 2, and that's it. I mean, you know, you could possibly, if you have room underneath the front seats, you could look at something like what JBL has to offer. JBL has the, the fuse? The 2 little JBL fuse boxes, like it was in, Bill had it in his car, that you can take them apart and slide them up underneath the seat. That'd probably be nice. But, I mean, if there's a box that's made and it goes underneath the back seat, my guess is going to be 210s. If there isn't one and you have room underneath your front seats, check out the JBL Fuse or the JBL line of products. It depends on how much bass you want too. If you're trying to like crack the core of the earth, you're out of luck. But you know, there's plenty of little bass things that can give you okay bass. Got to use those directional RCAs, bro, for sure. What's more important for loudspeaker, impedance or sensitivity? Sensitivity. Sensitivity for sure.
What's the biggest speaker you got in the dash in the Subaru or Toyota?
If we try really, really hard, we could get like a 3-inch, not a 3.5, but a 3-inch. Most of the time, you really got to get it. I mean, it's not fun by any stretch of the imagination. You really got to get up there and work it, and but that's about it. What's better, the D6-1200 or the Rockford 360? Well, the D6-1200 is an amplifier. The Rockford 360 is just an old DSP. So, depending on what you need, I'd probably say the D6-1200.
How do I find head unit clipping point if you're using Toslink? Pack AP4 CH41 Toslink to the DM10, to the DMA10, and the RCA wires to the amplifier.
Well, you're going to use the gain train philosophy there, and you're only worried about the amplifier at the end. So, if you watch D'Amore's gain train video, whether it's a Toslink or an RCA, you're still going to go through the same process of turning it up until it distorts. So, if you have everything set flat on the amplifier, set flat on the DSP, and you're metering through, then you'll figure out. I can tell you from experience, we've never had any problems with the volume all the way up. So that's that. Which car was it in? Which Amp Pro was it? CH41. CH41. Also on that CH41, I strongly recommend wiring in a relay for your remote turn on. Do not use that output to go to multiple amplifiers. You need a relay. If you do not use a relay, you will be returning that because you blow it up. It needs an output relay. So, or if you're going into a DSP that has like the trigger through the DSP and then the output to the amplifier, then you're okay. That takes us actually a little past the 40-minute mark, which means it's time to check out what's next. Oh, we talked about it, and here it is. The high point of the day, Dean and Fernando's cool stuff, is this stack of goodness right here. It looks like a little rack server. Can you bring that closer?
Yes,
Can you
of
pick
course.
it up and bring it in? This is the Audison Forza line of equipment. There we go. This little guy right here. So we'll put the iPhone on top of it, and that's that. Look at that. Look at the size of that. All right, so what we have here is the AP F1D in the AP 8.9. This is 9 channels of power. This is a 1,000 watt mono block, and this is an 8 by 80 watt 8 channel. And how this is going to be configured, this is kind of cool. Let's go over here to the laptop for a second. Oh, let me get rid of that. Where's it at? This. So this is the configuration. We'll go back to Fernando cam here for a second. Shine it right onto this guy right here where it says presets. Okay, that's a little dial. It says 1 through 9 or 0 through 9. And what that pertains to is this guy right here. So if you don't have, if you don't want to go crazy or you don't want to plug it into a laptop, you see this big X right here, you don't have to. You can actually, the system we're going to be running this on, oh, hang on, I made it blue. The system, whoa. Okay, sorry. Come on. There we go. All right. The system we're going to be running is tweeters are going to be on 1 and 2. The left front mid bass is going to be bridged on 3 and 4. The right front mid bass is going to be bridged on 5 and 6. The rears are going to be coming out of 7 and 8. It's just going to be a standard coaxial, not this. And then we have a subwoofer that's going to be coming off. All we have to do is select preset 6. If we do that, that is going to make outputs for 1 and 2 actively crossed over with a Linkwix Riley 12 dB crossover at 3,000 Hertz. The bandpass is going to be between 80 and 3,000 Hertz. The rears are going to be 80 Hertz up, and then it's going to be at 80 Hertz output to the subwoofer. I can just simply rotate this dial, pat it on its back, and send it on its way. We will not be doing that, of course. We'll be going full deep into the software. But what the moral to the story is if you're trying to get into this and you don't want to get deep into the DSP right off the bat, you can go through and check out all these pre-made configurations that they have. And then, of course, you can always go back in later and get deep into the software, which is right here. This is what the software looks like. We've showed it on the Saturday show before. It's got a 10-band parametric EQ built into it for 9 channels, because it's a 9-channel DSP. What makes it really nice is it's 8 channels, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Now, let's go back to that for a second, because the power output at that, which is what everyone wants to know, the power output, hold on, it's going to be, this is pretty impressive. The power output for this is going to be 85 watts to the tweeters, 260 watts to the mid bass, and 85 watts to the rear. So one of the things that we talk about a lot is staggered power. The reason why we went with the 8 channel is so we could do a staggered power configuration. And of course it's small and compact, and how sexy is that going to look? This actually fits underneath the seat. There's factory bolts right here. This is going to sit in like this, and it's good to go. To connect the subwoofer to the other amplifier, let's put this back down here so Fernando can get to the Fernando cam. Becomes sub RC output up to here, pre in there, and you're done. The APFD1 is the matching subwoofer amplifier for this. These are made to go together, but that's not to say you can't use this as a standalone sub amp. The difference is you see there's no gain controls on these anywhere. It uses a dip switch, or I'm sorry, a toggle switch here that says low, mid, and high, and each one of these pertains to a certain amount of voltage that is in the instruction manuals for you to decide which one you want to use. It also has high level input that is in the main plug here with the remote turn on. And of course it has the dual speaker outputs here. It takes an 8-gauge power wire and it uses 60 amps. Both of these are 60 amps. So one 8-gauge into each one and you're all set. I know, super efficient amplifiers. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Fun. Tower of Power. Yes, if you do want to stack them like this, they do offer a link to do this. You can stack them 3 high if you want. However, we didn't know that, so we made our own. Thank you, threaded 632 threaded rods. Can you throw that back over there for me? Thank you. And that's the cool stuff with the Fernando. We got a couple more minutes. Let's try to hit a few more questions. Anyone know what volume the Alpine ILXW 650 distorts? I think it's like 4 from all the way up. Unless you're using the amplified output, I'm assuming you mean over the RCAs. If you mean like deck power, about halfway up. So I would recommend going into the high pass crossover portion and turning it all the way down to negative 12 dB. The problem you run into with the ILXW 650, if you're using deck power for your highs and the RC output to go to the subwoofer, the deck power is way too loud, way too fast. The power curve is ridiculous. So if you go into the crossover section of it, you can actually attenuate the front and rear channels down by 12 dB. I strongly recommend doing that because then the output of the RCA will be able to catch up with what it's trying to do, because it's not a 4-volt output, it's a 2-volt output, so it gets kind of really, really weird. But yeah, if you're just coming out of the RCAs, about 2 or 3 from the top is good.
2010 Nissan Altima, Bose system, connect LOC before or after the amplifier, not getting output signal from the LOC.
So, line output converter, also known as a high level to low level adapter, meaning it takes a large amount of power, it chokes it down to a small amount of power. When you go before an amplifier, it's called low level, and when you go after an amplifier, it's called high level. The reason why it's called low level is because it's a small amount of signal. You don't need a high level to low level adapter because you already have a low level signal. If you're going to use an LOC, you have to have a lot of voltage or high level output. So, what does that mean for you and I in this question? If you're going before the amplifier, it's variable voltage, meaning when you turn up and down the volume, it fluctuates. You solder on a set of RCAs, you plug it in the amplifier, you're done. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. If it doesn't do this, volume doesn't regulate itself as you turn up and down the volume, then you have to go after the amplifier because it's fixed out of the radio, and you'd put an LOC on it to rock and roll. So that's that.
Alright, where is it?
I don't know. Where is it?
Do you miss the Alpine PDX amplifiers, or are happier with the new line?
I'm not happier with the new line at all. I really like the PDX line of amplifiers. However, you know, it was getting long in the tooth. There's no question about it. It's like anything else. It was just like, okay. I don't feel like the current line of amplifiers has enough for me. So we've just kind of moved past them, as it were. And we're dealing with other amplifiers until, but the R-type amplifiers, it just came out with a new 6-channel, which is actually a really nice staggered power 6-channel, which I would rather do over those. So something to think about. What's up, Adam?
All right. I put a Kenwood DDX 8906S in my Honda Ridgeline. No amplifier. Once in a while, when the radio starts up, I hear a loud pop or a big change in the volume. Any idea what's wrong?
Did it have a factory amplifier in it? That would be the only thing I would...
It says no amp.
No, I mean the factory amplifier. If it had the factory amplifier, you could be getting an issue with the factory amplifier. That would be the only thing I could think of, is if there's something, you know, if it's integrated into the factory amplifier. The Ridgeline also, I don't know if they ever made that with a factory amplifier. They may have, but the subwoofer was powered off of the radio, so I would be curious how they powered up the factory subwoofer. If they did some weird shenanigans behind the radio on that, would definitely do weird stuff. But otherwise, no, I got nothing. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe add an amplifier.
Is there any wiring hardware for a 2015 Lincoln MKZ 3.7 with the navigation but no THX? Looking for something I can just plug my stock radio out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a T-harness basically, and get all my speaker wires.
That would be wonderful. However, you're probably not going to find anything like that anywhere. It's just not anything anyone has made. That's not to say the harness, the actual clip-in harness doesn't exist. It might. However, it's not going to be pinned and be like super simple, click, click, done. There's probably the pieces, and Metro will have them on their website. If you like just search like Ford amplifier bypass harness or Ford harness, you can probably find them. But you're going to have to still do all the legwork, figure out what wire goes where and whatnot. But yeah, I would start on Metro. Best thing too is to get a picture of what the factory harness looks like so you have an idea of what you're trying to find.
Hello guys, I want to know if the kicker key with the KS components in my 2014 Camry with the Ground Zero A will be a great system.
It will be a wonderful system. Great is subjective. So I mean, when you look at great, you're comparing it to like the Great Wall of China, which is pretty damn great. You can see it from space. So is it an enjoyable system? Yes. Haley has it in her car. I love it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It gets loud. It gets in there again. Front stage, front stage, front stage. Don't worry about the rears. It's definitely a really exciting amplifier and system to have in your car. I don't see any reason why you'd be disappointed with it.
Old school Rockford Fosgate 1100 A2 or the JL/1200 for either, or maybe 2JL audio.
I've never owned either one of those amplifiers, so I really don't have any take on it. I'm not a big fan of old school amplifiers and new school installs. If an amp's 10 years old, maybe time to find something a little newer.
Alright. Okay, I have a 4-channel factory radio and a 4-channel amplifier. I have a 4 6x9 door speakers and an audio control DQ-DX. I can afford a separate 2-channel for my dash. How can I run my dash speakers off my factory head unit and still tune a DSP?
Well, the DQ-DX is a line level input. It's not a high level input. So if you have the factory radio and a 4-channel amp, you needed not the DQ-DX, you needed the DQ-61. That's not going to work for you. But as far as whether if you have, unless it's a variable voltage output on the factory head unit, you could pair the 6x9 up to the 2.5, which if it's in a factory system it already is, and just leave it like that and EQ the pair. It's not that you can't EQ a passive crossover system. You totally can. I mean, they're actively crossed over. This speaker's only going to play this frequencies, and these speakers are only going to play those frequencies. So your EQ band is only going to affect the speakers that are playing those frequencies. So you could totally get in there and dial it up and have lots of fun with it. Looking for an amp bypass harness. Where should I go? Metro? Yes. Definitely go to Metro.
Alright, this one.
Back to the JBL 2 Stadium Mids. The crossovers it comes with has 2 wires to the speaker and then 2 wires with a plug. Can I simply cut the plug off the wire to my amp? Okay, so if it's... Some speaker manufacturers have a speaker and, like, for example, like, I'm not familiar with that one. I haven't seen a picture of it. If it's just a generic heat shrinked passive crossover that attaches to the tweeter, and it comes with RCA or little speaker ends that attach to the speaker, and then those attach to the amplifier. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it at that point. It's like Alpine does that a lot of the times, where they give you one crossover for the tweeter, and the mid-range just uses its natural roll-off point. But the speaker leads that it comes with are designed to where you click it onto the mid-range, and then you connect it to the door. So you're daisy chaining the speakers. If it's something like that, then yes, you can cut it and go directly to the amp with no problem.
Hello, I installed a Pioneer 2300 in my Mustang using Maestro Mus 1 kit Bluetooth. Okay, Bluetooth only let me play audio from my phone, but it won't make or receive calls. Try resetting the radio, but nothing. It's because I didn't connect the pink wire.
The pink wire is a VSS wire. It has nothing to do with that. You need to go into the Maestro programming features and turn off your internal Bluetooth. In the menu system for Maestro, it asks you, do you want to use your current Bluetooth or your onboard Bluetooth? So you could either do one of two things. You could pull the module out and deselect sync, because you selected sync when you were going through the programming, or whoever programmed it for you left sync on. We always disable sync. So what it's trying to do is use your sync Bluetooth. You should be, but either pull it out, reflash it without sync, or go into the menu system for it if you can find it, and turn off sync. So that's what's causing your problem. It's not a reset. It's not any wiring. It's just a matter of you selected the wrong button. And that's it, guys. That takes us to an hour. That's Monday night. Woo! A lot of fun there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We had a great time. We hope you guys learned some stuff and had some fun. I know I did.
Bro, can you give me an idea? I need a mid-bass 8.
Illusion. There you go. There's two. Two ideas for the price of one.
There you go.
Listen, it's Monday. We got the rest of the week to look forward to here, so make sure you tune in to Instagram where we do 5 minutes of 5-star daily, or at least we try to do daily, where we show you what we're working on, what's going on. Of course, we got the Subaru XTI over here, so if we have some time, we'll definitely show you what's going on that tomorrow. Otherwise, make sure you come in back on Friday morning on Dean and Fernando's Car Stereo Clips. We discuss the news at 9 o'clock. In the morning, Eastern Standard Time. We tell you what's going on in the 12-volt world. We try to make it fun and exciting. We usually have some free stuff to give away, which, hey, who doesn't love free stuff? Yeah. And, of course, Saturday we'll be back on YouTube at 6 o'clock, killing it. And, of course, stay tuned to all the other videos that come out during the week on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for playing along. You have a wonderful week, and we'll see you back here soon.
Bye.
Bye.